Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And on behalf of the Wheeler Centre, thank you all very much for coming out on a cold Melbourne night. And your motivation speaks loudly. You're here because you already know the basics of the story that Izzeldin Abuelaish has to tell. But for the sake of the record and hearing it from his own mouth, I want to ask you, Izzeldin, first of all, to take us back to late 2008, when sadly your wife died after a short and tragic battle with cancer, and then not long after, you found yourself in the midst of the Israeli attack on your home in Gaza. What happened?
Thank you. As a Palestinian, but as I used to say, which Palestinian? Which a human being? A Palestinian refugee. As if he was born for suffering. And I remember that my life, it was a war, to live in tragedies. And that's what you mentioned, number 16 will never be erased in my mind. I have many things else, but number 16, where 16th of September, 4:45 p.m. 2008 is the day when I lost my wife. I never dreamed in it, or to come to my mind. I was blessed from her to have 6 lovely, beautiful daughters and 2 sons. And I thought it's the end of the world. Because I believe children should be raised with their mothers. And as a child, I used sometimes to have this nightmare. If I want to lose my father or my mother, I say I want to be with my mother. The Palestinian mother is the one who raises, who keeps, who sacrifices, as every mother. And now, and even my religion taught me, the orphan is not the one who loses the father. The orphan is the one who loses the mother. And now, my children, I realized that they became orphans to lose their mother. And how can I compensate them? But my children, especially my daughter Bisan, who was the eldest, she was the wisest. And I learned from her a lot. She said, count on God and our support. Continue your work. I continued, and even Bisan, she said to me, after she lost her mom, she was in the final year of her university. She was supposed to get her BA a few months later. As a student at the university, every student thinks that the most difficult challenge is academic exam. She said, now I learned one thing, that the most difficult thing in life are life exams. It's not the academic exams. Academic exams are the easiest. She took the role of her mother, sisters. She became everything in life for her brothers and for me. Then the unexpected happened. And a time I planned, and I got 2 offers to go to University of Harvard or the University of Toronto. But I said, I have to wait. Because my children, they started their school on 16th of January 2009, 4:45 p.m. Just 4 months later. In the time we were planning what to do, just this invasion, this craziness to finish. Seconds after I left my daughter's room, less than 5 seconds, the first shell came. I didn't believe it, because shelling and hitting was from everywhere. The house was shaking all of the time. We can't sleep. deprived of all the needs, without electricity, without food. But at least I was happy to be with my children, in spite of the suffering, because I believe children are the beauty of life. When I saw the dust, the smoke, the chaos everywhere, I thought it's in this outside, but it's my house. It's my daughter's room. I went to see, where is Bisan? Where is Mayar? Where is Aya? Where is Noor? I want to see them, to satisfy my eyes that at least I saw them. They became parts, fragmented everywhere, spreading everywhere, swimming in blood. Mayar, the beautiful girl, as her sisters. I want to see her face, decapitated, for nothing they did. I am proud of them. They were girls, full of plans, armed with love, with education, that they never succeeded in their schools, less than 97%. Their teachers used to fight to have them in their classes. And there was no reason to be killed. But from that time, from the first second, I realized, said, this tragedy is for good, and must be for good. Because at that time, Gazans, human beings as you are, your human fellows, they became numbers. For 3 weeks, no one can raise a finger to stop this war against innocent civilians. Gazans became numbers. It's shame to be statistics. No faces, no names, no plans. For what? For the craziness and the greed and the arrogance and the ignorance of a human being. And the first message of support came from my son, Muhammad. When I looked at him, he's 12 years old, I started to think, as I was blessed to be a medical doctor, what can I do now in case of emergency? Those who were killed, I know they are killed. I will never return them back. But to see Shada, Ghaida, my brothers, and to think of the future of my children. What is he going to do, my son? He lost his mother 4 months ago. And now he lost the main support, his sister Bisa and Mayar Aya. Is he going to be violent, to be crazy, to hate? He wasn't born violent, and no one of us is born violent or terrorist. We have to ask ourselves and to take responsibility. What made our children and others, what do we call violent? It's not to blame others, to blame ourselves. Violence is a symptom of a disease. And if my son became violent, he is not that. We have to ask the one who killed his sister and to lose the direction. He looked at me while I was crying to say, why are you crying? Why are you screaming? You must be happy. Do you want me to be happy? And Bisan, Mayar, Aya, Noor are killed. You must be happy. My sisters are happy there. They are with their mom. She asked for them. That's the Palestinian child. Those are our children. Can we learn from them? And can we look at them and bring them the right future they deserve? I said, if my son said that, There is no way backwards, just to move forward, and I don't need to worry about him. That's what happened. But the wound, the pain is severe, the wound is deep. The scar is big. I carried it. I carried it in a way that I see my daughters now with us to tell me, don't leave us. And since then, I swore to God and to my daughters not to give up, not to relax or rest, because I believe I will meet them one day. And believe me, if it's in my hand, I would like to meet them, but to meet them with the big gift that I am determined to succeed and get, with your help and others, the justice. Their souls and their blood was sacrificed for, and this to be achieved with wisdom, with kind words and good deeds. I assure you, we will achieve that. And I will carry that gift to my daughters one day. And I am sure they are relaxed there, but waiting for this gift. That's part of my life, which is not my life, it's your life. It's a human life, it's everyone's life in this world who belongs to the human family, to the human tribe. In the time we lost that feeling, it's time for each of us to start, to reconnect, to do something for others, where he can get this happiness that we lost. Happiness is the true connection and sharing. It's not happiness with what do I have, how much do I earn. Happiness, I get it from others, through sharing and connecting with others.
Izzeldin, have you ever had the chance to speak to somebody in a command position in the Israeli military to find out why your home was targeted by that tank?
It's not me to talk to them. It's not my responsibility to talk to militants. But as I said, there was no reason to be shelled, and they did nothing. You asked me this question and I have to answer. My daughter Shada, who was severely wounded, my niece and my brother were transferred to the hospital where I used to work just 2 days before the war. The war started 27th of December 2008. And I returned from the hospital 25th Thursday. That's my life where I used to work. To leave Gaza Saturday and to be back Thursday as the first Palestinian doctor to practice medicine in an Israeli hospitals. And no one came to ask or to say, we apologize for what happened. They used to come to visit the Israeli soldiers who were injured in Gaza, and I am few meters from them, but no one, just to do something, to move, to say, we apologize for what happened. But I count on people like me, like you, the people with heart and mind, my friends, my colleagues, others, Muslims, Jewish, Christians, Druze, Bedouins, people like us. That's what do we want to count. Don't count on any militant or politicians. Count on people like you. They came to show passion and support And those militants that you are talking about, instead of facing reality and to take responsibility, they were creative in justification. As I said, there was no reason to be shelled. And also for you to understand, if someone is telling you any story, to think of it, don't take it for granted. They started to justify what happened. And the first scenario, that there were snipers at the roof of the house. Snipers at the roof of the house. It's my house. Who is coming? And no one can approach the area where I am living. And if you saw the snipers, why you didn't shell them? Kill them. You shelled my daughter's room. And it's not one shell, it's two. If the first misled, why the second? It's not enough. 2 days later, it didn't work. They started to say there were militants inside the room. Militants. And that's my answer. I said, yes, there were militants. My daughters were armed, but not with guns. They were armed with education, with the plans, with the dreams, with love to others. It doesn't work. The third scenario, there were firing from the surrounding to confuse people. And some people, they are ignorant and blind and they believe in it. I said, if there were firing, why not to respond to that firing? And the most painful scenario, which is immoral, it's unethical, to stab someone who is dead. When someone is dead, he's dead. Why to stab him more and more, to kill him hundreds of times? To say that they took shrapnels from my niece's wound, and they examined it, and it was found to be from Hamas rockets. It's shame. It took 1 month. It took 1 month to investigate. To investigate what? It's clear. We need the courage to take responsibility after 1 month. Truth came clear like the sun to say we shelled the house of the doctor. It doesn't satisfy me, but I want others to learn, who were confused and biased, and they believed in that. It's time to take responsibility and to speak about the truth, and most important, to be honest with ourselves. That's the story, you know, about the militants you are talking about. And still, I tried, as I said, because I want, and you must support that. Those daughters who were killed, they are waiting for justice. Not to show them their blood was futile. I asked for apology from the IDF with every possible peaceful way, through ministers, through Knesset members, my colleagues. And at the end, December 2010, my lawyer, he received a response from the spokesperson of the IDF saying they are collateral damage. They are collateral damage. Those beautiful girls, which each of them is a special world, they are not objects. I don't accept it. That's what makes me angry, and you angry of not accepting it. What can be done? And even to say, for the Palestinians, there is a statute of limitations. After 2 years, forget the beloved ones. After 2 years, to forget my daughters, as long as I am breathing, as long as I am living, as long as my children are living, as long as there is awake a human voice, those girls will be living with statute of limitation, so there was no way just to file a lawsuit against those people to make them wake up to take responsibility. Apology is important, and to take responsibility. At least I am the weakest in front of them, but I am the strongest with my belief in my case, in my daughters, in the means of fighting I am using, and I believe one day we will succeed. And they have to wake up to take responsibility and to understand that a human life is the most precious, and we must fight for saving lives.
You were campaigning for peace and understanding between Palestinians and Israelis long before this tragedy afflicted your family. You've just said you're an optimist. Everybody listening would understand if you felt otherwise. How do you maintain your optimism after what happened to you?
Coming here and seeing you to listen, this is a hope. There are good people who are willing to know and to understand. As a medical doctor, I am blessed. I will never lose hope. And I never lost hope. And I don't believe in impossible things. The only impossible thing in life I believe in is to return my daughters back. Anything in life, personally, I planned, I succeeded to achieve. As a child, in the refugee camps, when I dreamed to be a medical doctor, and that's what can I say to you, to your children, dream big. Someone can occupy you, can oppress you, can deprive you, can imprison you, but can't prevent you from dreaming. And I urge each of you to dream. I dreamed, and I worked hard. I succeeded. I succeeded to achieve my dream. I succeeded to get my specialty in the best universities in the world. They were surprised to say from Jabalia camp to Harvard. I said, why not? Do I lack a hand? Do I lack an organ? I am a person like them. I am talented as they. Just give me the opportunity. As millions of children in this world who have the same. Just give them the opportunity. I succeeded. From nothing. Just the support of my mother, my wife, and my daughters. I succeeded to achieve my goals. But how many millions are behind? That's what do we want to understand. If we succeeded, not to forget that there are millions who are stuck there, waiting for us to give them hand, waiting for us to save them, to bring them with others. We don't need to feel disconnected from them. I can say to you, hope is life. Even from our life experience, look around you. What is happening in the world? It gives hope. What is happening in the Middle East a few months ago, no one would expect it. No one would dream in it. But it happened. Even, I can say, the President of the States, Barack Obama, if I asked or I came to tell someone to do an interview to tell you I dreamed that the President of the States will be a black guy called Barack Hussein Obama, what are you going to say? You will never believe it. So I can say to you, have hope, have faith But most important is to take action, to achieve that hope. Hope is an action. It's not just word to sit and to talk. It's a matter of action. And most important, don't underestimate yourself. Don't reject yourself or the size of your action. Be confident in yourself that you can succeed and start to do something. Don't wait for others. Others will follow you. So I think, even I believe in, hope is living with us. And hope we create it and we can achieve it to make it reality.
So far, more than 900 democracy activists have been shot in cold blood in Syria. We don't know how many have died in Libya or Egypt or Yemen and elsewhere. Why do you think democracy activists and peace activists can succeed in Israel-Palestine when so many have lost their lives in the adjoining countries pursuing democracy there?
Democracy is not what is happening in the Middle East. It's an issue of freedom. It's more than democracy. Freedom that we all were born free. No one was born occupied or oppressed, and I believe each of us must run a normal, free life with the full meaning of freedom. Freedom of poverty, of oppression, of occupation, of ignorance, of unemployment, of sickness, of speaking loudly. That's what no one should pay any price to get his freedom. We shouldn't be killed to get our freedom or to pay any cost. And the most important, they paid and they stood fast, strong for their freedom. It's not for the democracy, for their freedom. But those who are watching them, that they are not free because others are not. My freedom is from others' freedom. What can we do to free those people there? We are watching them. What can we do to help those people? How can we enjoy the killing of others without doing anything? We are waiting, we are watching, but it's our time now to get our freedom through others. That's what is needed for the Palestinian and the Israelis. I can say to you why. There are many peace activists. These peace activities, which are the grassroots, we need that, which is important, but it is not efficient, and it is not sufficient to do and to make the change. It's not going up because it's on the ground. It's from bottom up, and it's working against the gravity. You start to go up and then falls down. What is needed from top down? It's the political will, the political leaders to take responsibility, and not the people themselves, the political leaders who are there. And they are the same. I can say to you, leaders in general, relative, each of them is relative, the responsibility. It's not equal responsibility. Even leadership in Australia, in America, and others, they are leadership, political, not the human leaders. Those leaders should be risk takers. It's challenging, and they are there not for their political interest and to keep in power, to serve their nations. I said it, we need leaders. It's time for leaders where their eyes are focused on saving lives and using a new means of fighting, the human means, not the military machine. To understand even what is happening in the Middle East, it proved that the one who carries the gun is the weakest. Gun is the weakest. Bullets, they killed. maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 in Egypt. At the end, the soldier was the coward. He can't shoot or send a bullet to kill someone. In other places, in Tunisia, in Yemen, in any other place, in Syria, the lesson that we learned that the gun and military machine is futile. So that's the leader. We need leaders with their eyes on their people, not just on the next election to be elected and stay in power.
Fatah and Hamas have fought a bloody battle for years between them. Do you trust the truce and the alliance that they claim now to have formed?
I can say to you, I am happy that we started this reconciliation. At the end, we are brothers. If we don't want to forgive each other as brothers, whom do we want to forgive? It's a strength for the Palestinians. We sacrificed and we were manipulated and used by many. Even the Palestinian blood was used by many. So it's time to save every drop of Palestinian blood and to think of the Palestinian interest. We have to grow beyond and to develop beyond our own interest and our own pains for the main goal of the Palestinian nation and the Palestinian people. And the second, I believe this reconciliation is a strength for the peace process. When we go there as one, united as one nation, under the Palestinian flag, that's what do we want to be loyal to Palestine, not to parties of movements, and it's time for that. And I am confident that we learned a lesson and hope this is the last lesson and experience in our divide as Palestinians.
Why should the Israelis trust Hamas?
Israelis, you said Israelis to trust Hamas. Why you used Israel and didn't use Palestinians? We are not dealing Israelis to Hamas, a nation or a country with a movement. We are using a nation to a nation, an Israeli nation to a Palestinian nation. Why you didn't say why the settlers didn't trust Hamas? What do you think? Why you didn't say Lieberman didn't trust Hamas? Why you didn't say Likud didn't trust Hamas? We must deal and look at the situation as one unity with the title, the Palestinian nation and the Israeli nation as equal, not to go to divide, to say the hand, the leg, please. It's a waste of time and it's lack of interest to find something to play with. We need to look a Palestinian nation who are living there, and there is an Israeli nation, and there is a Palestinian authority, whatever, if we like or not, and an Israeli government, if we liked or not. We must deal with that with the head and the top. Don't go down. If you want to go down, this means I look to it as a waste of time and lack of interest.
Israeli domestic politics seems to be heading in a direction that is in the exact opposite of negotiating for peace. It seems that the hardline anti-peace Israeli politicians are gaining support rather than losing support at the moment.
So it's your role, and every one of us, to protect the Israeli nation from the current self-destructive acts of their government, which at the end will destroy the Israelis and the Palestinians and outside. It's you here to talk and to tell them, wake up. Just a few days ago, I don't imagine how can they have this courage. It's not a courage. I don't want to say any bad word, but it is something not good. Someone in the White House, when he speaks, and the President Obama to announce a Palestinian state within the borders of 1967, and the Israeli Prime Minister to say no way for that. What are we doing? Where are we going? And even when you speak about Hamas, a few days ago also, Lieberman, they asked him about freezing the settlements, that the States is begging the Israeli government to freeze it 3 months. And they bribed them with how much? $3 billion. For 3 months. I don't need to be bribed to do something good for my interest. We shouldn't bribe anyone to move for peace, for something helpful to them. What Lieberman said, don't dream to freeze the settlements 3 months, 3 days, or 3 hours. It's our responsibility to wake up. Even I can say to everyone, Australian, Arabs, Muslims, Jewish people here, to talk to their government, to their people there. We are with you in the good deeds, but what are you doing? These policies are destructive to you, to us here, and to the Palestinians, and it's enough. You must stop there. Change your course and adopt a new approach.
Shortly we'll move to questions from you, the audience, and we have 2 microphones, one downstairs and one upstairs, centrally located, and my instructions from the Wheeler Centre are to invite your questions rather than speeches. I have a few more questions of my own, but if you're one of those in the audience who would like to ask a question, rather than make a statement, ask a question of our guest, then if you could approach the microphone, and I'll try and get to you strictly in the order in which I see you at the microphone. In the book you write, Izzeldin, that you think the future and hope lies mostly with women rather than men as leaders. Why do you think that?
I believe in it, not to think, because I believe without the support, and I am in debt to my mother, as I said, to my wife and my daughters. Without them, I will never be here. As Izzeldin, as the doctor, as the succeeding one, my mother was behind that, and I fully, as I said, the Palestinian mother is the hero, is the one who sacrificed, who did everything. As every other mother, I believe in the role of mothers. Girls, I used to learn from my daughters. My daughter Bisan, and if others, I can tell you, please, listen to your children. Ask them, learn from them. They are wise more than what do we expect. They don't have conflict of interest. They express and talk from their heart. My daughter Bisan, at the age of 14, she said, I found how similar are we. When she met Jewish, Christians, Muslims, Druze, there is no difference. At that age, she said, to meet terrorism with terrorism or violence with violence doesn't solve anything. Our children, but we didn't learn. She said at that time, concerning hope, everything starts small, then becomes big. Everything starts in one place, then goes in different directions. So it's a matter of action. It's not the size. It's small today, but it will enlarge tomorrow. That's what do we need. And it's time for girls and women to practice their role. It's not just women's status or women's rights. It's women's role in decision making, in shaping the human life. I started to study and to learn to find who is behind the crisis in this world. This world. Can you give me 5 women behind any war in the world. You don't find 5. And don't waste your time. I did some research, and I didn't find 5. I find some. So you can find, but how many men? And we are here to complement each other, not to compete. We are not fighting or threatening each other. And give the women and the girls the opportunity. If they didn't succeed, they will never fail. They will never fail or make it worse as it is now. And I thought of my daughters who were able to achieve their plans because they have their father, who's a doctor, can provide them. But how many other girls who are deprived of the resources? And they have the same potential as my daughters. And it's not the biology. It's the humanity. I want to see the plans of my daughters fulfilled by other girls. And that's why I am devoted and moving everywhere for the foundation that I established, which is a registered Canadian charity for girls and women in the Middle East for education and health. A healthy, educated girl and woman will raise healthy, educated children, husband, family, community, and nation. The key indicator for development, believe me, it's not the GDP or the income. It's women's education. And this will be reflected in women's role. And that's why I believe in that. They can make it and they can change it. Just give them the chance and the opportunity, and we will see.
We'll move to questions in a moment, but just one last one from me, and then I know you want to read something from the book as well. There is the risk that in this hall now there's 800 already converted peaceniks. And as you tour the world, spreading a message of peace, understanding and hope, you're also preaching to the converted.
I am preaching and talking to a human being who thinks and who feels connected with others. And peace, the word that we use it, that I am teaching my students what is peace. Someone may think peace, we want to stop war or violence and to have no war or violence. I am sure in Australia there are many people who are not living in peace. Peace, personally, is how people feel safe, secure, healthy, and most important, to be happy in their life. That's peace. And this comes through connection and avoiding this term to say peace in a negative way. Peace is something positive, to feel connected, to open your hearts and mind and ears towards others. And at that moment, all of us, we will enjoy the peaceful life and the future. So I am sure you are here to have that message. And that's what can you do? Spread it. Talk to others, to your friends, to your family, to your neighbors. Everywhere you go to talk and to speak, you will find open ears and eyes. This is the minimum you can do. And with spreading the message, you can start the change, which will have the impact at the end. By the end of the day, you will say, I did something today. You will feel satisfied. By the end of the day, to put your head on your pillow, to say, I did something good today. Believe me, how happy you will feel when you do something like that. It gives you the happiness that we all lost. Start with that, to connect and to belong and to know other human beings.
Izzeldin, I know you want to read a short passage from the book, so as you prepare, I'll simply invite people to take up a spot at the microphones, up and down. There's one of each. And if you could give us the courtesy as you ask your question, perhaps of introducing yourself as well, so we know who is asking the question. And a reminder, questions rather than statements. But please, Izzeldin first.
I will read the poem which was written by whom? By an Israeli Jewish woman in memory of my daughter Bisan. She knew Bisan. She lived with Bisan as her mother. And for every one of us to search for the love and happiness we lost, where love resides, in memory of Bisan. I long to touch you, Bisan, one more time, to hug you, to tell you how sorry I am that your mom died. But now, you too are gone. Your smiling face, your gentle way, your softness, your non-judgmental words, your pain for your people, your way of life, your dreams, aspirations, and your hope for peace. Just days before the war, I spoke with your dad. He gave me your phone number. It's still in my car. Every day I glance at the number, seeing your name, Bisan. I wish I had spoken with you more, but I didn't have the guts. I spoke with you 3 days before you died. I told you that I am praying for your safety. My prayers were not heard. Through the shelling, the bombing, the Qassams, the smoke, I feel I have been betrayed by God, by my country, by the cruelty of humanity, by the warmongers, by those who think violence is the solution. And with all of this, I have been given a gift to have spent 6 weeks with Shada, Izzeldin, and Ghaida. I heard no words of revenge. I heard no words of revenge, no hatred. I heard no anger. I heard the deep belief that peace is possible, even with this enormous loss. I have been strengthened from their strength. I am more determined from their determination. I am more at peace from their peacefulness. Bisan, forgive me for not being able to save you from my own people. Forgive me for giving you hope that peace is possible, and then taking that dream from you. You will always be my symbol of hope, peace, and mostly gentleness. Your dad shared the dream with me days after you died. He came into a room full of men, and there you were sitting amongst them. He asked you, "Why are you sitting here, Bisan? You know it is not acceptable in our society." You answered, "All is fine now, Dad. I am happy and well. I can be here now among the men where I am needed. May no other woman need to die in order to be able to influence the men as you have, Bisan. May we women be heard and heeded, and may the men in this world get the chance to know from deep within their hearts that this is where the answer lies, in their hearts, where love resides."
Thank you, Izzeldin. We have 10 minutes for questions, and then Izzeldin will be in the foyer signing books before he has another television interview to go to later this evening. First question from downstairs. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Susan Durgam. I have a question about the power of the media. I was involved in Palestinian cause 40 years ago as a university student, and I've been involved in it recently, in recent years, and it's very, very hard to persuade people of the arguments you're presenting today. And also the main reason I'm talking about this now is that my name, Durgam, is an Arabic name because my husband is Syrian, and I lived and worked in Syria, in Damascus, at the British Council for a couple of years. So my heart is in Syria with the Syrian people, but my understanding of what is happening in Syria at the moment is completely different from the media presentation of it. Because I know the soldiers are getting killed, I know people are getting killed by armed men. I know that people are calling for emirates to be established in Syria.
Can I invite you to ask a question?
My question, what I wanted to show, sorry, I didn't want to go on, but what I wanted to show is the complexity of situations and how the mainstream media can make it very difficult for people to understand what's happening in Palestine, what's happening in the Middle East generally. Do you have a response to that, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
I think the media is not controlling us. The world is open book, and we can search and to find the truth and to use our minds. Everything is open, just to do some effort and to search for the truth and the right information, and that's what is needed. So it's not difficult to be deceived. Just to do that, look for the media to listen. You have all of it here. But go back to the internet to search from the local sources here and there, and you will discover the lies of certain media, and not to go back to it, say to it, it's over, I will never listen to you. When someone is lying once, the trust is not there. So that's what is needed.
Thank you. Upstairs.
Hi, my name's Sam Freestone. I'm fascinated with international politics in general, and it's very frustrating, seeing these ongoing wars for decades upon decades. And what seems to me, being fascinated with this kind of stuff, is that it seems to be basically about territory and resources. Everything you've been talking about, wanting peace and top down and everything I completely agree with. But what do you do when the top don't necessarily want peace? What are your thoughts on that?
Those who are on the top, they didn't come from the sky. Who brought them? We. You, me, and you. It's our hands. We voted for them. We elected them. And our vote is a strength. We must learn the lessons. Next time, they are there and they are not going to stay forever. We may suffer their presence for one term, 4 years. And at the end, we must learn the lesson to say to them, we need to kick them out. Your vote is to kick them out and to say to them, go home. That's what is needed. And to bring to the top someone who fulfills our dreams and works for us. That's what is needed. Not to blame them, to blame ourselves. We brought them, and we don't want to be burned by that fire another time. But we continue in the same way, and at the end to say, politicians, we must go to vote and to speak to others, to tell them, to open their eyes, whom to elect, because the people sometimes they don't know. It's your responsibility to decide who will be at the top.
Supplementary question from me. You did try your hand at politics. You gave it a go. What happened?
At that time, I thought of the people. When I ran for the election as independent, and to be honest, my mandate even was, I think of the people, the poor, the sick, the unemployed, the young people who are in need, to show the human life that they deserve to live. I can say, fortunately, I didn't succeed. I was lucky. I was lucky. In 2006, I got votes, but I was lucky not to succeed, because as a medical doctor, I know things, either black or white, to save or not, to give a treatment or not. There is no gray zones and political games. And that's the time I think we need political leaders. It's not political, we need human leaders. Politics, political means, which has been used times ago, it's not working now. The world is changing.
You said to me it was a dirty game before when we talked about it.
So I am lucky, but I think now I can do what do I want. And it's not where are you, it's who are you. From any place in the world, you can make a difference in the further point. It's a small world. Just connect and learn and give hand and expand your hand. Your hand will reach everywhere in this world.
Downstairs.
Well, first of all, thank you for speaking to us, Doctor. I'm Lois Griffiths from Christchurch, New Zealand. I'm here visiting my sons in Melbourne, but in Christchurch I've been involved with Justice for Palestine, and also I've met the people who were part of the crew, the New Zealanders, who took part in the last Gaza Freedom Flotilla. So could you please comment on how the people of Gaza feel about the Gaza Freedom Flotillas?
They feel that others are thinking of them and willing to do something, and they appreciate that. But to be honest, like the patient who is waiting in the hospital, and to come to talk to him as a medical doctor, just giving him talks, support, passion. He is there, he wants to be cured. He wants his freedom. He wants to get rid of the disease, to be cured and healed. These efforts are appreciated. Words are good. But if these words also not translated in the freedom of the Gazans in particular and the Palestinians in general, at the end, the people, as the woman who spoke, will feel frustrated and disappointed and lose its value.
Another one downstairs. People upstairs are a bit shy, but someone's approaching the microphone. We'll come to you upstairs in a moment. Downstairs again.
Hi, my name's Sarah. I've just got a simple question. What role do you think the US can play in the peacemaking process between Palestine and Israel? In the past, there's been a lot of talk, and you talk about action. And I just wonder whether you think things can change, and what role you think the West and the US can play. Thanks.
The West and the US. Leave us from the West. Let us focus on the US. The main and the major player is the US. To make impact, and what do we want from the US? To play. We don't want the full justice, relative justice, semi-justice, and to support Israel, but to support them for the good, and to understand with the current policies, as I said, they induce harm to the Israelis. And if they want to be trusted in the world, justice has one color, has one face, has one culture. To like for ourselves what do we like for others. It's not this double standard. Here is justice and there is not. Here is if good, there is bad. How can we trust to be selective? It's not to be selective, even with what is happening in the Middle East, to support what is happening in Egypt, but to deny other places. Why? And also, we have to ask ourselves, Mubarak, bin Ali, and those leaders, how long have they been there? Years, decades. They are not born today. And who is the major supporter, or who created them? And they started to talk about them as devils just once the Arabs, the nations, started to wake up. But they are devils forever, for most of their time. And if 5 months ago, 5 months, if any of those leaders planned to visit the States, what do you think? How will he be welcomed? The red carpet will be, spread. So what are we doing? We want the word, the moral courage, and to say our word in time. In time, not out of time. It's useless. So what is needed from the States? If they want order, law, and justice in this world, to adopt one standard of justice. What is white here is white there. What is black here is black there.
I'm running over time, but I'm doing so exercising my absolute discretion. One last question from upstairs, and then I'm afraid we do have to finish.
Two short, I hope specific questions. My name is Jamie Pearce. Specifically, looking 5 years ahead, what do you think should happen in the relationship between Israel and the Palestinians? What should happen specifically over the next 5 years? And my second question is, what do you think will happen between the Israelis and the Palestinians over the next 5 years?
No one knows the future, but I am optimistic, I am hopeful. Always in medicine, I learned today there is no treatment for the patient, but I am sure how can we keep the patient? Tomorrow is coming with a new treatment for the good of our patients. That's my life. I learned from it. Even it's not 5 years, just a moment of wisdom and goodwill. Believe me, everything can be changed. The United States' role, if it changed, tomorrow it will be reflected there. If the political will among the current Israeli government, it changed, everything can change. So it's not a matter of 5 years, it's a matter maybe of 1 week. And the Palestinians, I can say to you, what I learned from that. In 1994, after the Oslo Agreement, the Palestinians are resilient, and the nation, even the Israelis, are waiting for that moment. During the first Intifada, the children, the Palestinian children, they used to throw stones. Non-violent struggle. Once they enjoyed and listened and to see the hope, and the Israeli tanks and soldiers started to withdraw from the Palestinian territories, what did they do? Started to throw them with candies, with the flowers and olive branches. So the people are waiting there, and I believe it's not a matter of 5 years, it's a matter of a human wisdom and goodwill, and it can happen anytime.
We've spent an hour and we've barely touched the surface. We've spent an hour and we've barely touched the surface of the political and military issues in the Middle East, but we've gone very deep into the heart of a remarkable man who's joined us here in Melbourne this evening. He'll be signing books, if you want to buy one, out in the foyer until he has to go off to another media commitment. Those dreadful people in the media, later on this evening. But I salute you all for coming along tonight, and that shows the strength of your commitment, which is absolutely dwarfed by what is shown by our guest tonight. And I'd invite you to thank Izzeldin once more.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I can say to you, thank you. I can say to you, I believe in you that you are coming here from goodwill. I believe in you. Have hope, have faith, but most important is to take action. And that's what I learned from my life. In our life, we have priorities. What is the priority in our life? Is the present and the future. And who is the future? Our children. Do something for the children you have and others to whom you belong, and you will enjoy seeing them living in a beautiful, dressed in new world. It's your time and your opportunity. Thank you, and God bless you.